Well, our overall project is producing a documentary highlighting a individual's experience and memories from either World War II, Korea, or Vietnam. Part of putting this together is we need voiceovers to provide context for the viewer on exactly what battle, what was happening at that time, the conflict. So the students have constructed a voiceover, and today we're going to talk about recording the voiceover and then actually putting it together with visuals with some type of archive footage on top of it, whether it's footage, video, pictures, drawings, or maps. Voiceovers, at this point you should have them all written. Okay, if you're not, you got to get that wrapped up today. We're going to start recording this week. Once we get a little bit further, you're going to want to get at least one recording. If you have one recording, you at least have stuff where you can place pictures in. And then you can re-record it. Your timing is probably going to be very close to the same, so there won't be much adjustments you have to do. Today we're going to go through 3 voiceovers and kind of show you the pacing of stuff. When you go to record, we're going to start out with a weaker one, and then we'll show you the John Berg, which we think is nicely done, and then we'll show you one that we think is really well done. So that's what we're going to do here at the beginning. Then we'll go in there, we'll show everybody real quick how to record the voiceovers. If all 3 stations are up, we'll split you into 3, and then hopefully by the end of the hour, we at least got 3 people getting stuff recorded. All right? Our first project was for them just to get to know their veterans, to view it, to take notes of points of interest, to research. Then what we had them do is we gave them a project to actually learn how to use editing program. And we gave them all the interview, the supplement materials, and then they had to go and construct that. And then what they've had to start doing was they had to come up with a storyboard. So they actually had to construct an outline for their documentary. And then we gave them feedback on that. Then they organized the raw interview and placed it in order that will show up in their documentary and cut out pieces that they didn't want to have at this point. So now they're adding in a voiceover. All right, the first clip we're going to see was done a few years ago by the great, famous Kane. We're going to show his voiceover. There's some things that are good about it. There's some things that are weak about it. So we're going to let you watch, and then we'll talk about it after we see it through. So enjoy.
On June 25, 1950, the Communist-supported North Korean People's Army opened an artillery barrage on South Korean ROK Republic of Korea troops located south of the 38th. Shortly after, they assaulted the parallel with tanks. The invasion of South Korea was heavily supported militarily by the Soviets. The defense and aid for South Korea by UN forces first came in the form of ships, supplies, troops, and aircraft sent to defend Seoul from the NKPA advance.
All right. Anybody want to breathe? Nick, what you got?
I just thought it was really fast-paced.
He was talking faster than Kyra Fudge does talking about eyeshadow. And let me tell you, that is fast. Yeah, I mean, did anybody even pick up the information he was giving you?
The question is, here's the positive is that all the graphic work that he did with the map. If that map wouldn't have been there, would you have picked up anything that he was saying? No. Take breaks. More than just slowing down. When he's transitioning from defending the Pusan perimeter to the Incheon counterattack, take a break. Let's figure it out, okay?
Let the map tell the story, too.
Right, exactly. So, we constantly will be telling you guys to slow down anyways. But if you need to do a bunch of background, give the audience some time to let stuff soak in, let them think about it, break it up.
Yeah.
So for my background information on the stuff that I actually recorded, I just kind of explained how the war started and then where it led up to your grandfather being drafted in. Mm-hmm. Do we really need to go into that much detail with a voiceover?
No.
Okay, because that was like every single major thing.
I don't think you have to go. It depends what you're trying to get across. For some of you, the veteran's going to explain and dive into it and provide some of that background knowledge. Does everybody have to be this detailed that Kane was? Not necessarily. It kind of depends on where you're going, what you're trying to get across in your story. There was some good in that. Definitely the good, is the map. He had a good visual. He had a creative way to do it. He did that simply through Premiere. If you're really ambitious, After Effects, there's other things to do. Nobody's really jumped down this road before. But you can do some of this stuff. No, Grant doesn't have to look up everything for all of you. You can be adventurous on your own and figure out stuff.
He learned it all himself.
So it's a great way of using maps there, just using a simple icon, getting that stuff moving. That might be a great way to add some of that creativity to help tell that story. You pause, let the map tell some of it.
It's definitely a different teaching environment. They can't really give you, they can give you insight, but they can't tell you what you need to do, because you need to come up with it yourself, because it's your documentary, not theirs. And so I've never really had teachers like that, and Stange and Johnson are the best teachers that I've ever had. I really like them, and I like the way that they teach. It's very different, because other teachers, they hold your hand and they tell you what to do, and it's not like that. And it's actually really nice, because you get a better experience going on to college next year, and it's nice.
I think what's the greatest challenge for them can vary from student to student. For some students, it might be writing the voiceover. I think for just about all of them is figuring out where to go. They have all the tools, they have all the supplies. It's just a matter of what is it going to look like, and how am I going to do this at the same time where I'm giving the story the respect and the honor that it deserves. So that is probably the greatest challenge that they face. And as we get closer and closer, the questions become, more in depth as far as, am I getting this message across? Am I leaving this too open-ended? Does the viewer know what I'm saying here? So we challenge them all the time as far as every little thing that they put in there. We like to ask them, why are you doing that?
Vietnam, November 1st, 1964. The Battle of Bien Hoa indicated an increasing threat to American forces inside and outside of Vietnam. Over a year later, the Battle of Nha Trang led to over 230 American fatalities. Throughout 1966 and 1967, the war continued to heat up as more and more soldiers were sent to fight for the rights of the people of Vietnam. For many men like John Berg, involvement in the war started with draft day. Before he was drafted, John Berg knew very little about the Vietnam War. However, it wasn't long before he left his home in Rockford to start basic training at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. After going through basic training, AIT at Fort Polk, and MOS 11th Bravo, John was war ready. In 1968, John arrived in Vietnam as a part of the 1st Cav. He quickly realized he didn't like the living conditions.
What did we like, what we didn't like? What made this one better than Kane's? Go ahead, Alexis.
I like the changes and use of different voices for effect in different contexts.
Yeah, they did a nice job with that. Granted, with your voiceovers, there might be more background knowledge, so it won't be a need for that. But definitely, because you had 3 different parts. You had the narrator, you had John, and then you had the government official letter. So that was nicely done.
I think Grant did a really nice job with the music changes throughout and kind of the different sounds that was going on. Because with the combat footage, right off the bat, you had a lot of the different combat noise that was going on. But at the end, the piano music went really well. And some of the earlier music that went before the government official letter seemed to fit really well.
Agreed. How did it start off right away hearing a voice?
No, starts with guns.
I mean, that's something that we see all the time. You have that music, you have that gun. You don't need to start off talking.
To go back to an earlier comment too, we don't have the entire history of the Vietnam conflict here. It's not necessary. We have a little bit of context specifically into where he was at leading up to his draft. People are either going to know about Vietnam. If they really want to understand Vietnam, they're going to have to go do that research. We can't make a 5-hour documentary with voiceovers on the start of the Vietnam conflict. You put within the context of where they're at. When you're thinking about the voiceovers, what do you think made them solid voiceovers?
They had inflection, in the voice.
It wasn't a reading.
It wasn't reading, even though it was, but it did sound like it. Scott?
There were a lot more positives, which really like you kind of said earlier, like it gave them time to sink in. Like as you hear it, you can really absorb the information.
Right, absolutely. We're missing the most important part here. All of that is true, but we're missing the most important part. Where does this process begin?
Script writing.
The writing. Vincent, speak up. I didn't hear you. It all begins with the writing. And that's what, with my crew, and that's what I'm trying to get you to understand. All that other stuff that you all just said, absolutely true. It's step 2. But step 1 is the writing. It's got to be written well, and you need to take care in that creative part of it.
I think it initiates all of the critical thinking and higher level thinking aspects that everybody's pushing. It includes 21st century skills in regards to technology. It includes heavy emphasis on writing, heavy emphasis on speaking, visual aspects. I don't know if anybody talks about the 7 ways to learn, but it hits all of those as well.
The creativity.
Yeah, I mean the problem solving. I mean, like you said, you put them out there, and a lot of times we don't even have answers to their questions necessarily, and they have to figure it out. I think that's one of the most important things. And then also the kids teach themselves a lot, and they teach the other kids a lot. In some cases, we have kids that are better experts on some of the stuff than we are, and we just take the kids, send them to the other kids. So it's a lot of students self-teaching. Sometimes we're just facilitating.
And then all you have to do to actually record is drag this over as far back as it'll go when you start. And then you'll see over here it's picking up the audio. Click record. And it's actually recording my voice. Then you can click space to stop.
Because you know how it'll save it as 1? If you do it the other way, it's separate already.
So if you do save as like each separate piece will automatically be separate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then you don't have to chop it up.
Alright, nice. That'll be a lot better. Okay.
And then, but it won't make sure that when you put it in like a file, you won't be able to just listen to it. You have to put it in a Premiere project and then you can listen to it.
Okay.
So just, if you click on it, don't freak out because it's not going to play anything.
It provides them a kind of a productive way to fail in a positive learning experience way, because this generation is so afraid to do anything because I don't want to fail, and this class really gives them that opportunity to embrace those failures, being able to not be able to do something or to kind of stumble and take that and make something awesome out of it. That's life, and I think it's really kind of teaching them that lesson that it's okay to not get it right the first time, because that's the process of growing.
And it's not that you fail, it's how do you handle that. And then, so we're teaching these kids that you got to fail fast, meaning you got to try it, you got to understand the mistakes that you made, and you build on it and improve it, which is real world. That's how it goes. I mean, when we all first started teaching, I know I failed many times. We still do with lessons, and it's just building off those failures.
They're making something. And I remember I always ask them at the beginning of the year, I think I've done this for the past couple of years, I'm like, how many of you have made something? Like actually physically made something? And almost none of them have. There's been a couple of years where no one raised their hands. And so there's a lot of rewarding aspects. It's really confidence building for them, as opposed to just a grade on a piece of paper and, here's your essay back. It is a tangible product that they're creating, and it's going to be seen and appreciated. It's not just a grade that you and your teacher are going to see, and then it's on to the next thing.
Well, when I first started it, I was like, this is a lot, and it was really stressful, but now it's kind of paid off. It's rewarding seeing the guy that, has worked so hard for the country on the screen every day, and I really like him. I have a lot of, even though I haven't met him, I have a lot of emotions with him because, I see him every day, so I'm really excited to meet him. This is the first class that I've actually worked hard in, because I've never really been like a hard worker, but then I was like, you know what, this is something that is actually worth something.
I think the power of the project is the bond that's created between the students and the veterans. Because at the end of the day, I know I get the title as a teacher, but I think the veterans really come in and they're the ones who are teaching the lessons. And they're, teaching the kids, life lessons, lessons about the war, so many lessons I can't even talk about. And the kids gain so much from that. And then the kids are the ones who are doing all the work. I mean, we truly are like facilitators, but the kids are the ones who become invested, doing all the hard work, putting it in and just learning from it. And the whole process, the critical thinking that's behind it all, coming up with a vision and figuring out how to make that vision reality is tough to do sometimes, and it takes a lot of problem solving to get there. And then just the knowledge and that bond that's created to where these kids will go on to college and still meet with their veterans when they come home, go out to dinner as family. Some of them have given them donations towards their school. Just the connection that's there, and when they see them and being so excited to meet them or talk to them and to give them their DVDs is really the power of the class.